Good morning, everyone. I'm John Bieno, president of the Mountain View Computer Users Group, and welcome to our October meeting. First thing I want to cover is we have a sponsor, the Candle Lake, our own Carolyn McLean, who's sitting right down here, and they have, see, I didn't look at this last night after you cleaned it. She's got two new candles, a perfect pumpkin, which I think was on last year. Yeah, and a pistachio pumpkin. Well, that looks really interesting. So if you want a great gift, these candles are amazing. I've purchased about 4 or 5 of them now, I think. Yeah. Oh, the pumpkin one. If you like pumpkin spice, the pumpkin spice, when you open it, the entire city smells like pumpkin spice. Okay, today's agenda. We're going to talk a little bit and very little about user group business. For those of you who are here for the first time at the break, please come up and see Carolyn, our treasurer, and we'll explain everything about the club. I'll ask me any questions. Feel free at any time to ask a question. Then we're going to talk a little bit about timely tech topics. There's not a whole lot new this month. We're going to have a question and answer where you can answer any questions about the your systems, anything you're having trouble with. And then we're going to talk about, and this is going to be a lot, what's new in Microsoft and Apple's operating systems. For those of you who've not been watching, there's been a lot of changes across the board, both with Microsoft. There is, if you go to the channel, and I send out the link to the channel, you have access to the playlist other than the meeting videos. I created and am going to continue to create a new one, which is specifically for iOS 26 and Mac OS. Every video I come across that explains how to use it, I drop in there. I am going to be separating it into Mac, iOS, iOS 26, and Windows so that you'll be able to go and if you sign up for notifications, every time I drop something in there, you'll be notified. That is a big plus for use in the group, and it's only available because I can control who gets access to it. Okay, what's coming up? Well, next month we have reuse, recycle, refurbish. What do you do with your old equipment? Starting in December, we're going to have a 3-part series on AI and you. The first one is going to be about Microsoft Copilot, which interestingly enough, I can't find on the Mac in Word. These are really good tools. Now, Copilot, I'm not familiar with yet. I'm very familiar with Apple Writing Tools, and I use it. I'll give you an example. A friend of mine is working on a resume. She had one entry that was very poorly written. So I went in and I told Apple Writing Tools, I said, make this sound more professional. What I got back was amazing because it wrote it as if it were me. It goes in and analyzes my writing on all the stuff I've saved, formulates a profile for me, and when it rewrites something, it writes it the way I would write it. And except for one word, it did sound just like me. And it's just one word. I said, well, I really don't use that word, but yeah, it fits. And then in January, we have part 2. When can we trust? Driving down the AI rabbit hole. And this is getting worse. There is a new video AI tool that Google has come up with that is scary good. I've seen demos of it, and it is flat amazing. You can take and drop in pictures of somebody, a style and a background, and it generates the video with the dialogue you tell it. And it was the demo I saw of it was just mind-boggling.
That's Sora?
Pardon?
Is that Sora?
No,
Sora is OpenAI, isn't it?
OpenAI's?
Yeah.
Sora
it's
is
Google's.
okay. Sora is the deepfake video technology that's already generating lawsuits by Robin Williams' family because people are creating whole new stage shows of Robin Williams, and it looks absolutely realistic, from my understanding.
It's got a weird name. The one from Google. Google has a whole AI platform out now. Video one. I'm expecting there to be federal regulation coming up soon. In fact, I'm surprised the European Union hasn't done anything. And then part 3, getting the most out of your AI assistants, prompt engineering. At the very end, what we're going to try and explain to you, when you get an AI prompt, what is the best way to get the answers you want? Because that is the secret to it all. Now, I can tell you, AI engines are getting better and better and better. Google's Nano Banana, which is an image generating AI, is phenomenal. You can go in and say, remove the man on the left. But Nano Banana, I mean, you can go in and say, put sunglasses on the woman third from the left, put a hat on her, give her a new blouse, put the man in a suit, give him a haircut. And it does it. Okay. Okay, you notice it's blank, and we go into question and answer. But I'm going to talk about timely tech topics real fast because this past month I couldn't come up with anything until last night. Okay, you have something? There is a scam that just hit that is a little on the scary side, and I want to make sure you understand. It's a digital wallet scam. What they're doing is capturing your information for a credit card and putting it in their digital wallet. Please do not respond with credit card information to anyone who calls you, regardless of who they say they are. Do not. Chase will not do that. Wells Fargo will not do that. If they contact you, it's a scam. And the scam now, and they can't stop this. Once they add it to their digital wallet with your information, they now have access to that credit card, that debit card.
Probably just showed up.
Okay. Let him know to check it too. So please, if somebody calls you, texts you, emails you, is too close to you when you're using your credit card, smack them. Okay. Call the police. Get the store manager. Because that's how they're doing it. They're bumping up and using the RFID coming out of your card to capture that information. But they have to be within about 6 inches. If they call you, text you, email you, asking for credit card information to pay off a debt, a ticket, tolls, do not give it out. Okay, because this time, if that happens, I can't help you. Okay, because they've captured the one thing I can't help you stop. The bank can't do it. All you can do is stop the card. Now, the one good thing about the Apple credit card, if you use it electronically, this is brilliant. They never use the same number twice. So if they capture it and somebody uses that number again, it's automatically flagged as fraud. And that's happened to me. Somebody's been using a number that's over a year old, and periodically they come in, I think it's out on the black web somewhere. They use it to try and purchase stuff. And Saks comes back and says, we've detected fraud activity. We stopped it. And so I called them about it because I was a little concerned about this. So the guy explained to me, he says, you don't have to worry about it. We're just letting you know. We haven't paid it. So far, that is the only company I know that does that because you have to request a real card. Now, if you get a real card, that number is vulnerable. But the electronic version of it is not. So, any questions on that? That's my timely tech topic for this month.
I've been getting a lot of texts the last few weeks with, "Oh, I've seen your resume. You are exactly what we need." Yep.
Oh, let me tell you what that scam is. Okay. What they're doing, they are recruiters for X. X is a variable you fill in any company out there. And they're looking for people to help them do something, put up fake reviews, to do whatever. And they say you can earn between 100 and 500 an hour for working 2 hours a day. So what you do is you sign up for it, you go in, they give you a training program and they give you $10. They say you can Take it out anytime you want to. So you go in, and then what they don't tell you at first is the only way to get your money out is if you have a positive net income on what you're doing. Because what they do is they go in, and each place you visit has a amount of money that you have to match. Well, they'll hit a bonus, which all of a sudden goes up way above what your dollar value is worth. So you have to put in your money to bring it up so you can continue, so you can extract it. And they say, oh, well, these are very rare occurrences. And they do, it's all in Bitcoin, so it's not traceable. And you can, I've seen people as much as $10,000 of their own money that they can't get out. That's what the scam is. Now, any questions? Anyone have an answer? We need a question too. Okay, with that, we're going to take a break.
Hi there. My name is Mike McLean. I am the vice president or a vice president of the Mountain View Computer User Group and the Windows guy for the group. And today I'm going to discuss a little bit how Windows uses File Explorer for file management. There's a number of ways that you can use to get to File Explorer. The easiest is it's generally shown on the taskbar at the bottom of your screen on the left-hand side. If I hover over it, I see there File Explorer. Or if I go to my Start menu, it's pinned right here as well. If you just can't find it any other place, just go to your Start search menu and type in File, and it brings it up right there. And click on that, and this is the Windows File Explorer. You'll notice it's divided into two main sections. In the top section over here, we have the Quick Access area, which shows folders that you've accessed recently. Down beneath that are files that you've accessed recently. And this can be sorted by either recent, which is the default, or favorites, which I don't use, and shared, which I do find useful with our user group as we create agendas for the meetings. On the left side, you'll see pretty much the same thing. We have a home button, which is this. We have a gallery, which is from the Microsoft Photo Editor. That's where my pictures are being stored. And we have a link to Michael Personal, which is my OneDrive account. I do use Microsoft OneDrive on this system as a backup. Down below here is, again, the quickest access, which is showing in another format. Beneath that, I have a map drive to one of my network folders. I do have a network storage system hooked in, and here's where I access those. And then down below that, again, more recent folders that I've used. And at the very bottom, it actually shows the Windows file system in more of a traditional manner than we've seen without a graphical interface. Stargazer is the name of this particular computer. Below that is my main hard drive, Drive C, Windows C, and then a USB drive I have hooked in called Windows D. My students used to ask me, why C drive? Why is it called the C drive? Well, when personal computers were first invented and removable drives were added in, the 5¼ inch drives, they adopted a custom that IBM had come up with for mainframes when they started putting in removable drives with the mainframes. They put in the first movable drive and they just gave it an alphabetic designation, the A drive. And so the personal computers, after all, IBM was one of the first ones to create that, they just followed the same option. Then later on, when they added in a second removable drive to make it easy to copy files back and forth from floppy disks, they called that one the B drive. It was after that that they came up with fixed drives for permanent storage. And they just followed the custom and called that the C drive. And that's stayed with us ever since. The first hard drive or fixed drive on the system is always the C drive. And then drives that you add after that become the D drive, E drive, etc., and so on and so forth. So let's take a look now on how this is actually organized. I'm going to open up the C drive. And your system will look pretty much the same as this. I have a couple of extra things here I put on the top of my C drive. I have a folder here that I use for storing my Windows background images. I have something here I call the holodeck because I follow the whole Star Trek convention with my naming system. And this contains files and shortcuts that I want to have easily accessible to me, but I don't want them right on my desktop. And the reasons for that I'll get into on my video about using Microsoft OneDrive. But I have a shortcut to the holodeck drive over here. If I go into that, these are shortcuts to programs that I frequently use and that I want to be easily accessible. And you can always see what the file path is up here. I name it my computer, Stargazers, the C drive, and this is a holodeck folder. The things that you would be most interested in this system are the program files, x86. This is where your programs are generally going to install themselves. You really don't have to worry about that too much. Of more interest is where your actual files are located on the drive. Windows does a pretty good job of hiding the complexity. It's called raising the level of abstraction, so you don't have to worry about where they actually are. Your programs know where they are. They can pull them out. But if you're interested, this is actually where they reside. I go to my users folder, open that up, and here is a public, which is a default that's put in. Mike M is my user profile on this system. If I go to that, this contains the folders and the files that actually reside locally on my computer here. So this is one place that I can find them. I did mention OneDrive before. I have that accessed here. Most of my folders or most of my files are actually on my OneDrive. If I open that up, I can see all the stuff that's on my OneDrive. Some of it is downloaded here. I could see by this checkpoint that I actually have these on this system here. Others are residing up on the cloud. I set this up, this particular system. I want everything to reside on my desktop computer since it's my main system. My laptops, they can see this stuff, but they don't necessarily download them unless I need them. Again, I'll get into that in more detail when I talk about Windows OneDrive. And that is essentially how Windows File Explorer works on Windows 11. This is Mike McLean. I'm one of the VPs for the Mountain View Computer User Group, and have a good day.
All right, so this is my iPhone. I'm starting on the phone. The slide said all. That means one of the things that Apple did with these new operating systems, renaming it for one thing to OS 26, for the year in which most of the use will be. They rolled out features across all the devices. A lot of the new stuff is on all of them. So these are some of the things we came up with. One of them is that, of course, we've had an iPhone and it has a phone app for you to make phone calls. In OS 26 on Mac OS 26 and iPad OS 26, now they also have phone apps, even though they're not phones. When you use the phone app, and I think John's going to talk more about that later, but iOS 26 on the iPhone is, I think, the most polished, pardon the pun, of liquid glass. This is one of those subjective changes. They've created a whole new design language for all the operating systems that Apple calls liquid glass. And the interface elements reflect a material aspect of glass. I think they're doing it because it's cool and they can. Because the hardware these days is so powerful, they can do so much processing, show all these transparency effects and animations and so forth. So, but the word liquid kind of refers to more the metaphor of how it works. Let's see if we can look at some where's my messages app?
Microsoft did something similar with Arrow back in Vista, but
Yeah.
wasn't there yet.
So here's my messages app. Uh-oh, Molly. And there's a delay in the scrolling and stuff between the internet and Zoom. So the Zoom people are going to see it kind of jerky. But you'll notice at the bottom, and this is something we're going to point out a little bit later too, there's a search field. And this search field, when I bring it up, you'll notice how it's kind of transparent, frosty, and you'll see the content underneath it. The whole concept of this whole new design is they want your content to be more full screen, more accessible. There's some controversy I've heard about in podcasts and tech pundits whether they've really done that or not, because they've put interface elements in this glassy look on top of your content so that your content stretches from top to bottom of your screen no matter what device you're on. But the controls that you're used to using now are floating on top of that content, and so sometimes there is readability issues in terms of whatever is underneath it. If I move it slow enough, if you look at the bottom, I don't know if you can kind of see how the light refracts through that pill of the search field and the distortion of the image underneath it. It's just kind of bizarre, making it look like glass.
That's subjective.
Yeah, that's kind of the subjective part. If I tap on X there. So, and then at the top right, you see a little button with a 1 on it. There's a new filter in messages too. This is kind of goes along with the unknown numbers that John was talking about. But you'll notice how when you tap on a control, the liquidity of the interface is what you see there, as how it expands out into a bigger little menu. And you see, you put your finger on it and you have a little indication of what you're looking at, and it's a lot harder contrast to see on the screen up there, and it just the thing kind of jiggles a little bit as you're touching it. There's this kind of animation, this liquidy kind of feel to the glass. What?
Talk about that.
Yeah, so it's just in general, just let me finish, because you'll encounter this on your Mac, on your iPad, and your iPhone if you're in that ecosphere. These liquidy elements, glassy elements that move around kind of like they're liquid. Anyway, it takes some getting used to. A lot of the functionality from the previous versions is still there. It just looks different, and it takes some time getting used to. And anyway, so that's generally what liquid glass is all about.
The biggest thing is the menu bar on the Mac is now glass. Now you can put it back the old way, and it really takes some getting used to, because you're not used to not seeing the white bar.
I'm going to show that in a little bit.
Yeah. But I want to talk about the very hands up here are the new groupings. This is user selectable. If you don't like it, you don't have to use it. I love it, so I use it because it groups. You can have your messages. And these are from people you know. Unknown callers goes into a special area that you have to select to see. Bring it back up.
I just selected it.
Okay, thanks. So this is where all your unknown callers are, so you're not bothered by them. But the nice thing is it's smart enough to know when you get a call in that is not a phone number. Like I get a lot of stuff from the VA, get a lot of stuff from Best Buy that comes in by a number. It treats that as a known caller, not an unknown caller. Okay, go back up to the groupings. Also, if it detects spam, now what is interesting is I use Verizon, not T-Mobile. Somehow it's identifying spam calls. Because a lot of times, if on a phone call, it'll identify potential spam.
Mhm.
This is also it's universally available. It does this in messages. It does this on the phone, which is a great feature. The other thing is it's recently deleted. So you can go in and it will hold recently deleted for 30 days. You can also do by unread. It puts those up at the top, which is something I need to do because I keep losing. There you go. Okay. So this is user selectable. You don't have to use it if you don't like it. It's under messages and under phone.
Oh.
Barry, what's your opinion of? Do you like Ravine? Well, obviously you do because you have it.
Yeah, and what I've done since I installed the new operating systems, I've gone with Apple's defaults in terms of their new stuff to try it out and see how I like it before I decide whether I'm going to continue or not. But so apparently Maureen is in town, but she had food poisoning, couldn't be here today. Yeah.
Okay. And go back up and select manage filtering.
That takes you to system settings where we're in the messages settings now instead of phone.
The same thing on the phone.
Yeah.
I think it is a feature you should turn on. I have not had troubles with it at all. And it's really made the messaging and phone experience a lot better. And now I don't worry about it. But there's another feature.
What?
Let me talk about it right now. On the phone,
Because it's on, I think it's one of the slides you have a thing about phone.
okay. Back to you, Derek.
Okay. So then real quick, since we're still on the iPhone, we'll just do it here.
But bring that window back up.
What was it?
Fold.
Fold. Oh.
Okay.
There's another view of liquid glass, by the way. And I don't know if you can see it. I don't think it's not doing it. One of the other things it does, the edges of the icons have little highlights, like refracting light, like it's a piece of glass. Because you have a gyroscope in your phone, this doesn't work on the Mac, obviously, because you don't usually, but when you move it around, those little highlights move around the edges as if it's a three-dimensional object being struck by light from different directions.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, you can see it up there, yeah.
That I did not know until just now is that when you share your phone, the glass disappears on the application icon. On the phone, it's very definitely seeable.
Mm-hmm.
But the phone connectivity, the iPhone connectivity, it shows up. But on share, it does not.
All right. So my last bit on the all, because this also applies to iPad and Mac, only a little bit differently, is the Photos app. Last year, iOS 18 introduced a new organizational interface that apparently Apple got a lot of negative feedback about. And they have changed it again to show mainly just your entire library as your main. It used to be that your library would be like halfway up, and then underneath it would have a section called collections, and you could customize what appeared first. But now they just have two little buttons at the bottom: library, you got your entire library, or collections, and you can switch back and forth between them. These collections here, you can change the order and how these things appear by tapping reorder at the bottom. That was part of the iOS 18, except for it was on the main screen of the Photos app. But now they've taken all of this stuff from half of the screen below your library and put it in its own little place. So you can start scrolling, and then you can choose by months and years. like you could before, or just go back to your main library. Where am I? All. So they've kind of gone back to be kind of in between what was before iOS 18 and iOS 18, and now we've got a kind of a bifurcated interface with those two different aspects. How about just mustache? I only have one. Well, it should show me. Well, and also, yeah, I don't know. It could be that just it hasn't indexed everything on the, because each individual device does its own search index in the photos library. It doesn't share it across devices. So if I just search for beard, though, I get it. Search is very powerful. So real quick, let me just compare that with the Mac. This is photos on the Mac. This is also Mac OS 26, and it still has a sidebar which you can open and close. And so it's more kind of like it was in previous versions of Mac OS Photos. You got library, but you also have collections, and you got the same kinds of collections, and you can change the order of them. So it's got the two buttons at the top of the sidebar, like at the bottom of the iPhone interface, and then it's got all the different things here. But you have all of these things are also in the sidebar. The iPad, you've got more like this of a layout, and then in the iPhone, you don't have a sidebar. You just have the two different ways of looking at the content. Anyway, I don't know. And I'm going to hand it back to John. I can't hardly read the text underneath that liquid glass.